Straight ahead on WBKB News at 11, a man wanted by the Alpena County Prosecutor's Office has been arrested. Plus, the Alpena Symphony Orchestra performed their Autumn Serenade concert tonight, and winners were crowned in the 2013 Miss Sunrise Side Scholarship Pageant. We'll have those stories plus your local weather and sports. WBKB News at 11 starts now.
From Rogers City to Tawas City and all points in between, this is Northeast Michigan's award-winning news team. Your source for news, weather, and sports. We are WBKB News at 11.
James William Freeze Jr. has been arrested after turning himself into police Friday. Good evening, I'm Ashley Reed. Police had asked for the public's help in finding Freeze Jr. pictured here. He was wanted for 12 counts of criminal sexual conduct issued by the Alpena County Prosecutor's Office. Freeze Jr. turned himself in at the Mackinac County Sheriff's Office. He was transported to the Alpena County Sheriff's Office where he is being held on a $100,000 cash bond. Freeze Jr. was the third suspect wanted on multiple criminal sexual conduct charges. The Mackinac County Sheriff's Office arrested two other former Alpena residents on October 25th. James William Freeze was arrested on 5 first-degree criminal sexual conduct warrants, and his son, Andrew Joseph Freeze, was also arrested on 2 counts of criminal sexual misconduct. Music filled the air tonight as the Alpena Symphony Orchestra hosted an Autumn Serenade at the First United Methodist Church. Tonight's program was diverse, incorporating the piano, flute, horn, and strings. There were just over a dozen musicians who were a part of the orchestra. Guests were from Traverse City, Sheboygan, and all points in between. Classical music was the main theme tonight.
We're offering a really good level of music, I think. I've had people who've come up to me after some of our concerts and have said, well, we just came from downstate and we're really impressed with what's going on here in Alpena, and I think we can all be proud of that.
Tonight's concert was free, but donations were greatly accepted. Lawson says the orchestra operates on a small budget, but he feels preserving the music is good for the education of young people. He recently began the String School of Music, a program for young people interested in studying instruments. The program offers private lessons and group classes. From there, students work their way up to a string ensemble and then hopefully into the symphony. Those interested in becoming involved can call Lawson at 989-255-3762 or email him at lawsone2001@yahoo.com. Confidence was key yesterday afternoon as 13 young ladies competed to earn the title of Miss Sunrise Side and Miss Sunrise Side Outstanding Teen. The scholarship pageant took place yesterday at Alpena High School. Miss Sunrise Side is a local preliminary to the Miss America pageant and helps young ladies receive scholarships to continue their education. As part of this pageant, contestants gain training in public speaking and confidence building.
It's important for our community to support the young women who are trying to make a difference within our community. All of these young women have platforms that it's a topic that they believe in, that they try and educate the community on, raise money towards.
Platforms included diabetes awareness, bullying and verbal abuse prevention, and many other topics. Contestants were judged on an interview with the panel that they did earlier in the day. They were also judged based on a talent performance, evening wear, their lifestyle and fitness in a swimsuit competition, and how well they answered an onstage question.
It's just this program is very beneficial to young ladies, and I would encourage anybody to even just come watch or try and be a part of it. It definitely, you get so much out of this program.
Okay. Miss Sunrise Side 2013 is awarded a $2,000 cash scholarship as well as a $4,000 Alpena Community College scholarship. Paige Lewandowski was crowned Miss Sunrise Side 2013 and Emily Hansen was crowned Miss Sunrise Side Teen. They weren't known as policemen and firemen last night, but rather as pigs in heat. Both agencies, along with a large crowd, came to Northern Lights Arena to compete in the 11th annual Pigs in Heat benefit hockey game.
I started 11 years ago with Andy and I, and a group of other policemen and firemen started putting it together to raise money for basically some local charity to try to give back to the community.
Before the actual game, there was a silent auction, raffles, and multiple drawings. Each year's proceeds benefit a different organization. This year, all proceeds will go to the Children's Advocacy Center of Northeast Michigan.
It's to get the message out for child abuse and neglect. It's a very powerful cause that we're trying to promote tonight.
And as for the hockey game, the Pigs were hungry for a win after losing to the Heat last year 8-3. The stands were packed and loud as the two teams took to the ice. The Heat just couldn't hold their own and ended up losing to the stacked Pigs 5-1. Since 2003, the Pigs and Heat game has raised a total of $33,800. Yesterday marked the 11th annual Walk Against Hunger and Homelessness. Each year the walk coincides with Michigan's November campaign to end hunger and homelessness in the state. People gathered at the Salvation Army Church to begin their walk around the city. There was no cost to register, but donations were accepted. People also donated artwork and quilts for a raffle. The major donation was a quilt from the Gone to Pieces Quilt Guild.
There is hunger and there is homelessness locally, and it doesn't hit close to home to a lot of people. So part of this walk is to remind people that indeed there is hunger and homelessness, and we want to promote that awareness.
All proceeds will go toward local programs for the prevention of homelessness and hunger. This walk isn't the only effort to gain awareness. There is artwork related to the subject on display at Cabin Creek and Fresh Palette. There was also a symbolic sleepout in front of Alpena High School on October 25th. Organizers say that this walk once a year isn't enough. Their goal now to try to promote awareness throughout the entire year. Coming up next on WBKB News at 11, students at Western Michigan University spent their weekend honoring veterans as part of a service project. Plus, banks are being tested to see if they could survive another financial crisis. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In state news, students at Western Michigan University received a quick history lesson this weekend while putting in a little hard work. A service project honored those who sacrificed their lives for the country. Western Michigan University students were at Fort Custer National Cemetery in Augusta, reading names and thinking about what it was like to serve this country back then. More than 300 first-year business students got on their hands and knees scrubbing down headstones, making them shine for Veterans Day on November 11th. The work of cleaning nearly 2,000 graves is far from glamorous, but is a lesson well worth learning, even if it's on the weekend. Coordinator Paul Hildenbrand says he thinks it's good for the students to realize the sacrifice that other people have made. In your Money Watch, the Federal Reserve will test more banks next year to find out if they're strong enough to survive another financial crisis. The Fed will expand its stress test to 30 banks from 18. Under the new standards, all banks with more than $50 billion in assets will be examined to make sure they have enough money to keep operating, even if the economy goes through another severe downturn. Investors will have a full calendar of economic reports to sift through this week, including the latest on factory orders, economic growth, and consumer sentiment. But the highlight of the week will be Friday's October unemployment report. Economists predict the unemployment rate inched up to 7.3%. Drivers could get an early holiday present at the gas pump. Oil supplies are nearing a record high, and that's expected to push gas prices lower. Some analysts predict $3 a gallon by Christmas, if not sooner. Some gas stations in Michigan have actually already hit prices below that $3 a gallon mark. GasBuddy.com and AAA of Michigan put together state and local gas prices. The highest price for gas in Alpena is coming in at $3.39 at Marathon. The lowest is $3.34 at Murphy, USA. Across Michigan, the highest gas price is $3.79 in Romulus. Lowest price for gas in Michigan is at $2.93 in Baraga. There's still much more to come on WBKB News at 11. Jeff Cole will be in with a look at sports. And it was so nice to see the sunshine today. I'll be right back to let you know if it's here to stay with your weather forecast. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. It's time now for a look at your weather. Today, the high here in Alpena was 42 degrees. The normal high for November 3rd is 48 degrees. We're a little lower for this time of year. Our low was lower than normal, though. We hit 28 degrees. Normal low around this time is 32 degrees. Record high was 74 degrees back in 1978. Record low 13 degrees back in 1951. Daylight savings time ended early this morning. That means our sunrise was an hour later. Sunrise this morning was at 7:16 a.m. And we're losing daylight hours because our sunset tonight pretty early, 5:19 p.m. And looking at our current conditions here in Alpena, currently it's 29 degrees. It really feels like 23 degrees, however. Southeast winds around 7 miles per hour. Taking a look at our satellite and radar, for the most part, Alpena is clear right now. However, we can see some of this cloud coverage coming in from the west, mostly over Wisconsin and Illinois right now. Going into the Upper Peninsula, you can also see a little bit of precipitation, but other than that cloud coverage, not a whole lot going on. Going into tonight conditions are going to be partly cloudy. We're going to hit a low of 32 degrees, southeast winds around 10 miles per hour. Going into tomorrow, we're going to see a little more sunshine today. It was great to see that today. Partly sunny, high of 49 degrees. South winds around 15 to 25 miles per hour. Pretty breezy. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy. Our lows only going to hit 39 degrees, a little higher than lows we've been seeing over the past few nights. South winds around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And taking a look at our week ahead in our extended forecast, you can see for Tuesday it's going to be mostly cloudy, a 30% chance of showers. Highs going to reach 55 degrees. Wednesday cloudy. Thursday a chance of rain and snow showers. We're going to hit a high of 44 degrees on Thursday, drop down to a low of 27 degrees on Friday. However, it will be partly sunny. And then Saturday, mostly cloudy and a high of 46 degrees. And now for today's photo of the day. Today's photo was sent in by Barb Conklin. She took a photo of this one-of-a-kind goose, as she called it, on the shore of Lake Huron in Harrisville. Barb wonders how it got here. She says these Pomeranian geese were originally raised by northern German farmers of Pomerania as early as the 1500s. Thank you, Barb, for sharing this photo with us. If you have a photo you would like to send us, just email a photo along with a short description to news@WBKB11.com. For your health, watch, concussions are a common problem for kids in contact sports like football, but a new report says there's a lot we still don't know about their impact. The Institute of Medicine says there's little evidence helmets can prevent concussions since they can't stop the head from moving. The report also recommends a national system to better track the problem. Women who gain excessive amounts of weight during pregnancy may put themselves at risk for getting breast cancer later in life. Scientists at Georgetown University studied the effects of the obesity hormone leptin on pregnant rats. They found the hormone erased the positive effects of pregnancy and increased the risk of breast cancer after menopause. And smokers may think about quitting around the same time. Doctors at San Diego University looked at 4 years of Google searches around the globe. They found people searched about kicking the habit the most on Mondays. The searches declined during the rest of the week. Researchers aren't sure why the first day of the week seems to hold such significance, but it could impact treatment and lead to more effective efforts to help smokers quit. In national news, a record number of runners kicked asphalt today at the New York City Marathon. This year's race was extra special after last year's was canceled due to Superstorm Sandy and after 2 bombs exploded at the Boston Marathon in April. CBS News correspondent Adriana Diaz was at today's New York City Marathon finish line as marathoners rolled in.
The runners arrived in tutus, patriotic get-ups, and total exhaustion. For some, it was a long time coming. Shira Siegel was supposed to run last year, but the race was canceled because of Superstorm Sandy, which also hit her New Jersey home.
We had damage and we had no electricity, and so, this, after all of that training for 18 months, it's amazing.
For others, like Boston native David Fortier, the race was a comeback. He was caught in the chaos of the Boston Marathon bombing while finishing that race.
My right foot was hit by a piece of shrapnel, and I've lost some hearing in both ears.
He pounded the New York pavement wearing a Boston Strong patch. The crowds took notice.
Literally hundreds of people cheering Boston Strong. It brought a tear to my eye a couple times, it really did.
In light of the Boston attacks, security was tighter than ever at the New York City Marathon. Helicopters flew overhead, police officers checked bags, and bomb-sniffing dogs reported to duty. Kenyans Jeffrey Mutai and Priska Jeptu won the men's and women's titles. They led a record pack of 50,740 runners, including Fortier, who's running for his city and for leukemia research.
I'm running for those people that can't, and that's why I'm doing this.
He says he'll keep running full speed ahead. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, New York.
Luckily, there was no major security event at the marathon. New York City officials consulted with Boston law enforcement when developing their security plan. Sports is coming up next, but first, Jeff Kolb is here with a preview of what's ahead. What do you have for us, Jeff?
We'll show you our Street Cats Player of the Week and how Alpena fared at Detroit. Plus, breaking news in Detroit, the Tigers announcing their next manager, the new skipper 24 years younger than Jim Leland. We'll introduce you to him after the break. Less than 2 weeks after Jim Leland stepped down in Detroit, the Tigers have found the guy they wanted to replace him, and pounced on a deal. Brad Ausmus, the former Houston Astros catcher, announced today as the next Tigers skipper. The 44-year-old Ausmus comes to the Motor City from the Padres, where he was a special assistant to the general manager. He last played for the Dodgers in 2010. Ausmus beat out Tigers hitting coach Lloyd McClendon, Padres bench coach Rick Renteria, and Dodgers third base coach Tim Wallach for the job. Ausmus wasting no time acknowledging the talent he's inheriting this afternoon.
Very rarely is there a managerial change when a team is coming off a postseason appearance or an ALCS appearance, and I understand I'm very fortunate. That being said, I'm not taking anything for granted. No details will be glossed over, and I'm not assuming anything.
To hockey, all but one of the Alpena Street Cats is from outside of the United States, adding an extra level of difficulty to the junior hockey experience for some. But as WBKB's Shannon McGrattan found out this week, one cat is definitely embracing the transition from Russia to Alpena.
English isn't his first language. In fact, he only knows a few dozen words. But that doesn't matter for 18-year-old Vladislav Kasanov.
Нет, я заранее готовился к этому переезду, так что я был готов на все 100%.
Kasanov is the third highest scorer in the Midwest Junior Hockey League with 8 goals and 14 assists.
Каждый день выполняю максимальные задачи, которые ставят тренера и которые я сам себе ставлю. И с каждым днем все лучше и лучше.
He's a very, very quiet guy, but he works, you know, his work ethic speaks for himself, and the guys follow him.
He's a great role model for all the younger kids and whatnot, so he's just a great player to have on your team.
The forward played juniors in Russia before moving to Michigan, and according to his coaches, he's grooming himself to be a professional athlete.
He's the kind of player that comes to the rink every day to work hard. That's the kind of players all coaches look for, are the guys that come every single day. You don't never have to say 2 words to him. You know he's going to give 100%.
In Alpena, Shannon McGrattan, WBKB Sports.
And this weekend, Kasanov adding to his impressive resume, scoring a goal and adding an assist today for Alpena. Tune in to WBKB News every Sunday to get to know more about your Alpena Street Cats. And in their final contest this weekend, the Street Cats beating the Fighting Irish 4-2, sweeping all 3 games in Detroit. Kasanov and Vladimir Mukrusov scoring in the third period for Alpena to break a 2-2 deadlock. Vladislav Grovsky with 39 saves in the win. The Cats now leapfrogging the Irish into second place. Alpena next in action Friday against first place Traverse City. And the high school hockey season is upon us. Alpena holding tryouts at Northern Lights Arena Monday through Friday this week, starting at 3:30. Then Saturday, the annual green and white game gets underway, kicking off at 4. And district volleyball playoffs kicking off tomorrow as well. In District 90 Class C, Oscoda, the host school, taking on Alcona at 6:30. That game getting underway after the 5 o'clock match between Tawas and Whittemore Prescott wraps up. Also in Class C, Joburg traveling to Charlevoix tomorrow in District 92, taking on East Jordan at 7 o'clock. And in Class D, Posen and Hillman playing tomorrow at 6 in District 120 up in Rogers City. The winner of that game playing against the Hurons on Wednesday, also at Rogers City. And finally, Alpena hosting Traverse City West in District 12 Class A competition. The Wildcats and Titans doing battle tomorrow in Alpena starting at 6. All district champions will advance to the regional semifinals starting November 12th. The Pistons hosting the Celtics. Brandon Jennings making his debut for Detroit. First quarter, Jennings with the theft, taking it down and finishing after the fake out. Pistons doubling up the C's. Andre Drummond creating his own dunk contest highlight reel in this one. Look at the big man throw it down. Detroit leading Boston 45-35 at the break, but Boston making a run in the fourth. Avery Bradley from downtown tying the game at 63. Jennings not going to have his first game spoiled, however. He hits the deck, but flips the sweet over-the-shoulder bounce pass. Anyways, Drummond doing the rest. Jennings with 14 points as the Pistons take care of the Celtics 87-77. And yesterday, Michigan State making a huge statement, trouncing Michigan 29-6. The Spartans holding the Wolverines to an all-time worst, minus 48 rushing yards, while finishing a season-high 7 sacks. Michigan had scored 24 or more points in each game this season. Denikos Allen, Max Boa, and Ed Davis each sacking Devin Gardner. The Spartans head to Nebraska next week. So the Lions off today, Ashley, but still a ton going on in the area as far as sports, especially that Brad Ausmus hiring by the Tigers.
How do you think he's going to do with the Tigers?
First time as a manager, a lot's been said about whether it's good to hire someone without managerial experience, but just from watching Brad with the Astros in his career, I think that he's a great leader. He'll be fine there, and he's got a great team that he's inheriting. So.
All right, well, great. Coming up next on WBKB News at 11, officers didn't believe it when they first heard this animal was roaming the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. That story after the break. Welcome back. A Universal security officer at O'Hare Airport in Chicago couldn't believe it when a passenger pointed out that there was an alligator in Terminal 3. Tanika Walker, who works for Universal Security, radioed airport police for help. Chicago police officer Anthony Oliver figured somebody had to be messing with them. Department of Aviation workers caught the alligator using a broom and dustpan, so obviously not that big of an alligator, and Chicago police held it for animal control. An expert says it's very fortunate someone wasn't hurt. He says the little kid could have grabbed it thinking it was a toy. As for how the alligator got to O'Hare, that's still under investigation. Walker thinks the owner probably realized he or she couldn't take it through the checkpoint and just let it go. It gave people a lot of laughs yesterday, but it should be pointed out that it is illegal to keep an alligator as a pet in Illinois. The alligator will now need to be treated for about 6 months because it appears the owner didn't feed it properly and stunted its growth. After rehab, it will likely be given to a reptile park.
Well, it's hard to believe that someone would just forget that they had an alligator.
That's the thing. Did they think they were going to be able to take it through security?
I'm not sure. Just a lot of weird things happening in airports.
But it is a cute little thing. I kind of wouldn't mind having one after seeing that.
Yep.
Is that bad?
I'm stuck on the alligator in a airport. That's just
like
weird to me.
Plane. Alligators in a plane.
Exactly, very similar.
There we go.
And remember, you can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on more news items online.
Visit WBKB11.com if you haven't already for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night.
Or add us on Facebook at facebook.com/WBKBTV.
That's all we have for you tonight. Be sure to catch Kelsey Fabian here tomorrow morning on 11.3. Enjoy the rest of your night.